We have shots fired, 4.5 shots fired.
Another deadly confrontation with police, this time with an inferno. The events leading to what appears to be the end of one ex-cop's rampage.
Gabby Giffords deserves a vote. The families of Newtown deserve a vote. The families of Aurora deserve a vote.
From gun control to moving our country forward, the highlights of President Obama's State of the Union address. What was supposed to be a pleasure cruise has turned into a nightmare.
There's sewage, raw sewage, pretty bad.
We hear from passengers on a powerless ship as it slowly gets tugged back to shore. And one doesn't have to be the loneliest number on Valentine's Day. The best way to get through the day is you reflect on past relationships. Your independent news network starts right now. Hello everyone, I'm Mike Mickle. Welcome to INN News. After a standoff, shootout, and fire, a massive manhunt that lasted more than a week appears to be over. Authorities say ex-cop turned renegade Christopher Dorner did not emerge from a California cabin after it was set on fire last night. A charred body was found inside and is now being tested. Here's how it all went down yesterday. A California Fish and Game officer spotted a man driving in the area, matching Dorner's description.
The warden who was in front noticed a white truck coming down, driving erratically at a pretty high rate of speed. Because he was drawn to this erratic behavior, he took a close look at the driver and recognized him as a suspect.
The wardens say Dorner fired on them before ditching his car, carjacking another, and taking off into the woods and retreating to a cabin. 2 sheriff's deputies were shot as they moved in. One later died. A SWAT team then stormed the cabin. Smoke devices were detonated. Investigators say Dorner was out to avenge his firing from the LA police force by targeting officers and their families. Dorner's victims include Michael Crane, a 34-year-old Riverside Police Department officer. He leaves behind a wife, a 10-year-old son, and a 4-year-old daughter. 28-year-old Monica Kwan and her fiancé, 27-year-old Keith Lawrence. Kwan was an assistant women's basketball coach at California State University. Lawrence was a public safety officer at the University of Southern California. Kwan was the daughter of Dorner's former attorney. We're still waiting to hear more about that 4th victim. Your money, your freedoms, and your safety. The president covers a broad range of topics in his State of the Union address. Here are the highlights from last night.
And we can say with renewed confidence that the state of our union is stronger.
President Obama unveils a slate of new proposals aimed at improving the lives of the middle class, taking on everything from universal preschool education to repairing the nation's aging infrastructure to addressing the threat of climate change. He urged Congress to put partisan differences aside on the issue of immigration and to stay focused on a plan to jumpstart the nation's economy.
The American people have worked too hard for too long, rebuilding from one crisis to see their elected officials cause another.
The president also asked Congress to increase the federal minimum wage to $9 an hour.
Let's declare that in the wealthiest nation on earth, no one who works full-time should have to live in poverty. Let's tie the minimum wage to the cost of living so that it finally becomes a wage you can live on.
In the moment of the night, the president called on Congress to vote for tougher gun legislation.
Gabby Giffords deserves a vote. The families of Newtown deserve a vote. The families of Aurora deserve a vote.
And he announced plans to bring home nearly half the troops serving in Afghanistan by this time next year.
Another 34,000 American troops will come home from Afghanistan. This drawdown will continue, and by the end of next year, our war in Afghanistan will be over.
How will all this be paid for? The president vows
nothing I'm proposing tonight should increase our deficit by a single dime.
The dollars and cents won't be released until President Obama unveils his budget next month. Senator Marco Rubio from Florida delivered the Republican Party response. He accuses the president of trying to tax and spend his way to prosperity.
The tax increases and the deficit spending you propose will hurt middle-class families. It will cost them their raises. It will cost them their benefits. It may even cost some of them their jobs.
We had that entire speech on our Facebook page at INN News. Let us know what you thought of the president's address. We'd love to hear from you. Now on to that crippled cruise ship in the Gulf of Mexico. We're hearing from passengers on the Carnival cruise ship Triumph. An engine fire several days ago knocked out power to the vessel, and conditions are pretty gross.
The smells are, I can't even describe them. Our room is flooded. There's sewage, raw sewage, pretty bad.
4,000 people are stuck on that ship, which is now being towed to Mobile, Alabama, and expected to arrive tomorrow. Carnival CEO says he's sorry for the mishap.
There is no question that conditions on board the ship are very challenging. All right, I can assure you that everyone on board in the Carnival team and everyone shoreside is doing everything they can to make our guests as comfortable as possible.
Carnival will give passengers free flights home, full refunds, and a credit for another cruise if they're willing. Superstorm Sandy is going into the record books. The National Hurricane Center calls it the second costliest tropical cyclone in the nation's history, right behind Hurricane Katrina. Sandy was blamed for 72 deaths and destroyed more than 300,000 homes in New Jersey. That storm hit the Northeast last October. They're still digging out in the Northeast from last weekend's blizzard. City leaders in Waterbury, Connecticut have found a clever way to remove snow from school lots, paying kids and adults minimum wage to do the job.
Like, it beats staying in the house for like 4 days straight without school. So I just wanted to come help, especially elementary schools.
And there's plenty of shoveling to be done in much of Oklahoma today after a snowstorm hit there yesterday. This is the scene in Elk City. That area received about 6 inches of heavy, wet snow. Meteorologist Eric Garlick is here to tell us where that system is now heading next.
Well, starting to see some snow into portions of West Virginia, and that's going to continue as we go through the rest of the night. Even Ohio, in southern Indiana, seeing a little bit of light snow, expecting 1 to 3 inches. That system eventually going to push into the Northeast, looking at 1 to 3 inches of portions of New York, and then it's going to just give a glancing blow into the states of New England, likely only seeing 1 inch of accumulation. We do have some winter weather advisories into portions of southern Indiana, southern Ohio, and Kentucky, even into portions of West Virginia. Not expecting a whole lot of snow, but definitely going to make it feel like winter once again. And we have a system pushing through the northern plains, so we do have some winter weather advisories into portions of North Dakota, South Dakota, and even portions of Minnesota. And again, that's going to see the accumulation of 1 to 3 inches of snow. Not looking at a whole lot of snow, but definitely going to be the places that are going to have trouble problems because of the heavy wet snow into portions of West Virginia, even portions of Michigan, expecting 1 to 3 inches of snow as we go through the next 48 hours. Pretty unactive day in weather, but a lot of people are going to experience the winter weather once again, and spring is on the way, so eventually we are going to get there, but we're going to see some snow into portions of the U.S. first.
Lots of people are tired of shoveling.
I'm ready for the warm weather. Shorts, t-shirts.
Absolutely. Let's just dream about that for a while.
Absolutely.
Eric, thanks so much. Well, Banana Joe didn't monkey around. The little Affin Pinscher with a bouncy step and shiny black coat is this year's top dog at the Westminster Kennel Club. The 5-year-old wagged his tail a mile a minute and stuck out his little pink tongue after earning his 86th Best in Show title overall. He's a smart dog, too. He knows English, German, Dutch, and Spanish. We're hearing from the Pope for the first time since he announced his retirement. Next, his message to Catholics in what is to be his last Ash Wednesday address. Plus, you'll meet some couples who may need a lot of chapstick, how long they need to kiss to win big prizes after the break.